Erik ten Hag must do much more to show Sir Jim Ratcliffe he deserves to stay as Man United manager. Winners and losers as Tottenham boss Ange Postecoglou shows up his opposite number in Old Trafford draw. It's always a daunting prospect and a new boss shows up for their first day at work. Suddenly, you have someone fresh to impress and prove your worth to, with it not always clear quite whether they expect the same from you as their predecessor. It was a feeling that Erik ten Hag will likely have felt as he prepared his Manchester United team to take on Tottenham, knowing that Sir Jim Ratcliffe would be in attendance at Old Trafford for the first time since his 25% purchase of the Red Devils was announced by the club. Ratcliffe might be a minority owner at present, but he and his Ineos team are set to run United's football operations going forward, and so Ten Hag will answer them. As first impressions go, Ten Hag's could certainly have gone better. Though United twice took the lead in the first half through goals from Rasmus Højlund and Marcus Rashford, they were twice pegged back by Ange Postecoglou's depleted Spurs side. United's goals were their only 2 shots on target, and much of the second half was played out in front of an almost silent home crowd, with Ten Hag's side able to produce little of note to suggest that they could find a winning goal and vault themselves back into the conversation regarding a top 4 finish and Champions League qualification. Instead, the point leaves them down in 7th and 8 points behind both Arsenal and Spurs, who currently sit 4th and 5th, respectively. Improvements will need to be made fast if Ten Hag is to avoid an awkward conversation with his boss in the coming weeks and months, on the same page as they both claimed assists for each other's goals in what were encouraging displays from both of United's under-fire forwards. Højlund pulled out his hammer to smash United in front after just 3 minutes, and the Old Trafford ground staff will have their work cut out repairing the net after the damage he did. It was only the Dane's second Premier League goal and came after a wasteful performance against Wigan, but he showed his usual desire and this time matched it with confidence and quality. He was also in a generous mood and played a lovely 1-2 with Rashford, allowing his strike partner to score for the first time at Old Trafford in 8 months. For his part, Rashford looked reinvigorated and was always a handful for Spurs defenders. His revival is far from complete, however, as he continued to make the wrong decision at the crucial moment. Always running down the left side when he could have come inside. But the real positive is that he is on the road back and is building an understanding with Højlund, while Alejandro Garnacho continued to impress on the right. It all bodes well for the future, and after months of failing to sparkle, there appears to be life in United's attack after all. While this was a positive day for United's forward line, their midfield was abject. Christian Eriksen went missing for most of the game against his old club, while Kobbie Mainoo's inexperience and youth was truly felt as he looked lost against the muscle and power of Pierre-Emile Højbjerg and Rodrigo Bentancur. Bruno Fernandes looked inventive in the first half but ran out of ideas in the second, resorting to aimlessly punting the ball forward and more often than not seeing it go out of play or to the feet of an opponent. The arrival of Scott McTominay from the bench did not strengthen United's engine room either, although it did give them an attacking edge. Unfortunately, the Scotland international did not bring his shooting boots and missed the target with 2 fine opportunities, particularly the free header which he skied in the final few minutes. After this draw, Tottenham find themselves 5 points off Premier League leaders Liverpool, with this the 3rd time already in 2023-24 that they have come from behind twice to salvage a point on the road, having previously done so at both Arsenal and Manchester City. The belief in this team is testament to the work Postecoglou has done in rebuilding their belief so quickly, but it remains clear that he is also building a squad that is capable of challenging for silverware once everyone is fully fit and available. Spurs arrived at Old Trafford without the injured James Maddison, Gio Lo Celso, Ben Davies and Ivan Perisic, while Dejan Kulusevski was a late dropout after coming down with illness on the eve of the game. Factor in that Son Heung-min, Yves Bissouma and Pape Matar Sarr are all on international duty, and this was far from a first-choice lineup that Postecoglou selected, and yet his team were the better side for long periods on Sunday, and were it not for some rusty finishing from debutant Timo Werner, they very well could have claimed a famous victory on the road. It's clear that the Australian has got each and every one of his players to buy into his methods, and if they can get some key players back for the final months of the campaign, a top 4 finish shouldn't be ruled out. One player who really seems to be benefiting from Postecoglou's arrival is Richarlison, who was able to continue his fine recent form with Tottenham's first equaliser. His header from a Pedro Porro corner marked his 6th goal in as many league games, but it was not just the threat he posed that enabled him to stand out. Though the Brazil forward caused problems all afternoon, he was also excellent when out of possession, as he pressed the United backline and regularly forced them into errors or aimlessly kicking the ball upfield, while also winning the odd tackle here and there. Ten Hag would have wanted to make a better first impression on Ratcliffe, who sat next to Sir Alex Ferguson in the Old Trafford director's box, than this disjointed display. While there was some spark in attack, United were far too passive, allowing Spurs too much of the ball and too much space. And they were incapable of holding on to their advantage each time they scored, leading for 16 minutes and then 6 minutes. "We scored 2 great goals and conceded 2 soft goals," was the manager's assessment of United's performance, while he also complained that his side were not awarded a penalty for Destiny Udogie's push on Garnacho. But these excuses are unlikely to give him a pass with Ratcliffe, who sacked 4 managers in the space of 25 months when Ineos took control of Nice. Sir Dave Brailsford told United staff last week that they would be held to world-class standards now that Ineos are in charge and urged them to step up. This was far from a world-class performance, and Ten Hag sure will need to get more out of his players if he wants to ensure he does not fall victim to the